4th Committee of the Albany County Legislature Law Committee to order. We do have a quorum, although we're missing several people. I know Mr. Clenahan's on his way. Some of the other members won't be in attendance, but that being said, we've got a quorum, so I'd like to proceed. Item number 1 is approving the minutes from last month's meeting. So everybody had an opportunity to review them. All right, get a motion, a second. Excellent. All in favor? All right, minutes are approved. Sure, knock yourself out. Without objection, I'd like to move to the RLAs to get the executive staff out of here and start with item number 30 under current business. Is that okay? Does anybody have any issue with that? Okay. Item number 30, this is authorization to submit a grant application and enter into an agreement with DCJS. Ms. Worth is here on behalf of the District Attorney's Office. Thank you for joining us, Heather.
Thank you for having me this evening. I'm here tonight requesting authorization for our Crimes Against Revenue Program grant. This grant is $271,100, and the grant is used to support staffing at the District Attorney's Office to recoup restitution for the state of New York and the County of Albany. To date, we have $3.5 million that we have recouped for the state and the county, and the ROI on the grant, which the state counts and also counts toward future funding, has been 583%. So we are second ROI in the state in terms of funding versus dollars recovered, and this grant is for $271,100.
Great. Sounds like you're putting the money to good use.
I'm trying.
Does anybody have any questions? Can I get a motion? Motion from Mr. Clenahan, seconded by Ms. Steele. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 30 is out. Item number 31, authorization to submit a grant application, enter into an agreement with DCJS for the Motor Vehicle Theft and Insurance Fraud Prevention Program.
So this grant is a joint application and implementation with the Albany Police Department. We applied together and we received a little over $90,000, $65,050 worth is going to the County of Albany to support most of the salary for a district attorney who will look into motor vehicle theft and insurance fraud cases within the county, specifically within the city of Albany, but also attempt to look at patterns within the county and see if we can identify some larger patterns here in terms of theft and insurance fraud within the county.
Great. Question from Mr. Bergdorf?
Yeah, is there a reason that other police departments haven't partnered with this, or?
Yes, so DCJS will fund one police department and the district attorney's office, and they look at the instances of motor vehicle theft and insurance fraud and fund the police department that has the highest within the county. So obviously Albany Police Department has the highest incidence of theft and insurance fraud in the county, and so they choose them as the agency that can partner with us to apply.
Is that based on DCJS standard statistics?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, a motion from Ms. Cunningham, seconded by Mr. Bergdorf. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 32, amending an agreement with the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services regarding the Regional Immigration Assistance Program.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Milstein was unavailable tonight. Apologize for that. This is to extend out the terms of the grant that we received from the State Office of Indigent Legal Services in 2015. Basically, they didn't get ramped up immediately. None of the state centers were ramped up basically until about April of 2016. There's no fiscal impact that we reflected in the 2019 budget. It just extends out our ability to spend the money.
Great. Any questions?
Motion to move it.
Motion from Mr. Kraus, seconded by Ms. Cunningham. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 33, approving the bylaws of the Albany County Planning Board. We're joined tonight by members of the Planning Board. Bylaws, I believe, are in the packet.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Dominic Ragusa. I'm acting chairman of the Albany County Planning Board. I've been on board for 10 years, and for the last 3 years I've been acting chairman. Approximately 3 years ago, Leslie Lombardo, the past senior planner for the Albany County Planning Board, started to rewrite the bylaws and update them. She left approximately a year and a half ago. Michaela Sweeney is the new senior planner. She has taken that and kind of formalized and finalized the bylaws, and we're sitting here in front of you today looking for approval.
Great. Does anybody have any questions? Mr. Bergdorf?
Is this just a codification of existing procedures, or are there any new procedures that you are adopting by virtue of these bylaws? Because I understand there never was anything approved beforehand.
Yeah, we cannot find, the old bylaws, so I can't answer what changes are there. What they did is they went to surrounding counties and looked at their bylaws, they studied their bylaws, they did extensive outreach to neighboring counties to see what their bylaws are, how they were written, and to kind of use that as a stepping stone for these bylaws here.
Well, I guess the follow-up to my question is, when you did that outreach, did you find process improvements for the Albany County Planning Board that you're proposing to adopt by virtue of these bylaws?
I'm gonna have to,
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it really is,
You can come to the table.
it really is codification of what the procedures that the board has already used. Some, it really just clarifies, the roles of the board members, the process of the meetings, those sort of things. It's very general, if you will, but it really speaks to the day-to-day meeting procedures.
yeah.
more than-
And it came up with some different avenues of like attendance, board members going for attendance. We also have requirements for yearly training, so kind of really put that down and said, and putting black and white, the members are now we're getting better attendance, we're getting people to do their continuing education for the planning board, so it's working out.
Good. Mr. Travis?
This question is not meant to be critical, but since you had no bylaws, and you can't find bylaws that may or may not have been there, how have you guided the way you've operated over the last 10 years without your bylaws?
Yeah, well, there is,
Yeah, so-
Michaela explained to you that what our rules are for us, go ahead.
Yeah, the work of the county planning board is, the charge of the county planning board is laid out in general municipal law, which is in New York state law. So we've been really following the procedures outlined in that. It does require us to have a bylaw, which is something we saw, once I came into this role. But it really does govern, what isn't within the charge of the planning board, the general procedures of what a board should be doing.
So you've operated within the confines of the law, but you just haven't had a
Yeah, there's
bylaws?
no formalized set of.
Well, we're glad you have bylaws.
Congratulations.
Yes.
To clarify, this doesn't change any appointments given, they're the same bodies have, all the same charges, all that.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bergdorf, seconded by Ms. Cunningham, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's jump now to 27, 28, 29, so we can get all this sort of business out of the way. 27, this is resolution number 437. This is a public hearing on local law C. This is Ms. Cunningham, this is yours. And Mr. Krause's? Okay. So this is Doug, please join us. Okay, Doug, this is your new resolution to have a new public hearing on the paid sick time local law.
Yes,
That's what it is.
so we've made revisions.
Yeah.
I believe everybody has a copy of the revised local law C. Basically, the revisions include changing consolidating businesses that have many locations in Albany County and counting all the employees. Also, as one business, also we've changed the time frame.
Is this a new one?
In terms of, we now allow
This is another new one?
people to donate sick leave, that is another change that's in the law.
non-red line.
And we did a revision of,
This is just a public hearing, Doug. You don't have to go into the merits of what's in the underlying local law. I feel like you've
I'd
explained
love to,
last.
okay.
I mean, unless you want to. Otherwise, we'll just move this out and schedule your public hearings.
This is fine.
Mr. Flanagan? Mr. Phillips, ready?
Wait a minute, we need an amendment on the public hearing.
Move the amendment. What's the date? September
It
20th.
should read as October 23rd.
Okay, so the date is for this September. We need to amend the date to Tuesday, October 23rd.
I put that in the new resolution, I submitted that.
Okay, No problem, Doug. So I'll make a motion to strike September 25th and insert October 23rd. Can I get a motion to do that? I'll make the motion, second by Mr. Clanahan. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Bergdorf?
I just have a question. This is also going to go before Audit and Finance?
I can't speak to what other committee the public
Does it-
hearing resolution's in.
This is the only committee that's in one.
This is it's the only committee
For
that
the
this...
public hearing resolution, if that's what they say. The local law is pending here, and I believe is pending, no, just here.
The local law is pending here.
Just here.
Is there a fiscal impact note for this law?
I mean, the law is now what's before us, it's just a resolution.
Well, I mean, there's an entire new enforcement section that's been proposed. State of the Human Rights Commission,
yeah.
investigations, audits, mediation, et cetera. Do we know how that's going to work or what it's going to cost?
Human rights, we've amended that to say the county
Right.
is now responsible, and we have a procedure in the enforcement to process the complaints on paid sick days.
And
if a complaint isn't acted upon by the county, there's a procedure in there also to resolve that.
Sure, I think his concern, Doug, is that it's gonna cost money. I mean, that's not, I can't speak to that.
if ABC...
I've spoken to the county executive, he says he can handle this kind of a process. He's in favor of it, and I don't think it's gonna cost the county anything. But if you wanna submit something in contrary, I'd appreciate your input.
I'm sorry, the county executive told you we could do it within existing budget?
Yes.
Okay. I think if you just put a footnote note that says that, that covers the basis.
Could we ask the county executive then, obviously he's given this some thought, and he has a process in mind by which, for example, if an employee of an ice cream parlor that makes a complaint that there are 120 people there, he's got someone who's going to take in a complaint, review a complaint, send out auditors to review the complaint. He's going to make an administrative finding, and he's going to make a judgment that the complaint is true or untrue. He's going to make a finding, which then will be subject to some kind of appeal, and that's one instance. So the whole bunch of people involved in that. I think we deserve to know who's going to do that, how is that going to work? Without saying, because I don't see anything here that says that. And when I know in our town, we have 80,000 people by day and by night, and 250,000 people by day, which means that there are 170,000 people that come into work in the town of Colony. And if you are making everyone who comes in and every business in Colony subject to this, there are going to be people who rightfully or wrongfully, if this is adopted, who are going to feel as though they have a case. And I think we as a committee are entitled to know how the county executive plans to handle that, because if we are relying on your assertion that the county executive told us that this can all be done countywide for no cost, no people, no expense. I mean, I'd like to get some kind of a statement from the county executive outlining how that takes place. I think that's fair.
We're debating it right now, and
Well, I'm not-
the procedure is outlined under enforcement, and I urge you to read the procedure.
I did, Doug, I did read it, and
Well, that's how the county is going to handle complaints. And- Go ahead, I don't want to debate.
I don't want to debate, the piece of, this is a resolution just simply authorizing a public hearing. Mr. Bergdorf, next month, I'm sure we're going to have a lengthy debate in this committee about this bill.
Okay.
And I think in the interim, there's staff here from the executive's office. If you want to send them a letter, if you would like Mr. Bull, if you want to put it on the record that you'd like the sponsor to send a letter to the county executive, or if you want a referral to audit and finance because you believe there's fiscal implications, I mean, go right ahead. That's fine, you know?
Well, I
But
just...
we're getting onto the merits of it here. We've got a big agenda.
Okay, well, I would think that, quite candidly, if we are talking about a major action affecting every business in this county, we should get into the merits, and we should understand how it's going to work, because every business in this county deserves to understand with detail how it should work.
I don't disagree.
And what I'm suggesting to you is saying, the county executive has said he's going to handle it, and it will be no problem, and it will be no cost. Strikes me as
Well,
an interesting position to take, and I'd like that information from the county executive. Do you think you...
Taking very detailed notes, I'll
Thank you.
circle back and give you.
Mr.
Thank
McLaughlin
you.
will get that
It's on the record, okay.
Nobody said no cost, by the way.
Okay, so Mr. Clenahan,
I'd be happy to make a motion to move the public hearing, President,
second, as amended.
as amended.
With a new date.
Tuesday, October 23rd, for the public hearing on the amended version, which was just passed out to all the members of the committee and disseminated, I believe, to the full body. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Good. Resolution 437 for the public hearing is out. All right, item number 28, this is another public hearing. This is on the redistricting, bill sponsored by Ms. Cunningham and Mr. Kraus and Mr. Willingham. This is again another public hearing because significant and substantive changes have been made to the underlying local law. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
So help me understand this. The amended language is not passed or?
It's what's in the back,
So-
what you've provided.
So, but we didn't approve this amended language yet. So just walk me through the sequence
Well,
of this.
I would suggest if this is not the language that you're going with,
No, I'm just suggesting we amended it to a
Sure.
large extent and then.
sure. So, if this is the language that you want to go forward on for the public hearing, you would make a motion to have the committee approve this language and move it forward as in the backup. I'll point out that there's been several requests to submit a copy that conforms with Rule 83, which we haven't gotten yet.
Wait a minute, I sent that about 25 times.
We never have received a copy that conforms with Rule 83. That's neither here nor there, but that's something that
Is that the bracketed, underlined language?
We've received strikeout copies, which, as you're aware, does not conform with Rule 83
I know, but
2016.
we all have seen the red line, the blue line, and I think that there's no danger that there's anybody who has debated this doesn't realize what has been deleted and what has been inserted. So we're not going to be hung up on whether it's bracketed or has
Sure.
a strike through.
I'm pointing out that's the rules of this body, that's my sole point, which hasn't been complied with to the date. Now, to answer your question, you can vote on this language and move it forward. However, I will point out that the amended language does not respond to several concerns raised in the special committee or in the initial memo from my office. If you'd like to move forward, that's your prerogative, but it may trigger another public hearing if any changes are made after the fact. So that's just something to be aware
So we
of.
could move the new language tonight?
Sure.
And then,
But just, wait a minute. We don't need the committee's approval for amended language.
Sure.
Whatever's there is what the public hearing would be
Sure.
held on. If there were changes after that,
That are substantive.
that are substantive, then we would move from there.
If, that's a big if.
If,
We
right.
had several extensive debates about this.
No, absolutely, but we want to just keep this thing on track, and I think it's important to go forward with the public hearing. And maybe some very important comments will come out of the public hearing, things that you want to address, and then if we have to continue, we will. We just want to move forward and get this train rolling down the track.
It's understandable.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
no,
All right.
I just want to be clear that this is the language that now will be the subject of
The public hearing,
That's the whole
yes.
point of having
And
another public hearing.
I'd like to, since I have been one of the people that has specifically raised the issue of indicating how things change, I find this to be, while it may not meet the exact letter of the law, this is very helpful to be able to see where the proposal has gone. Thank you. And to be honest with you, I wanted to publicly thank you, and I think it's really, yes, I'll move it.
Motion by Mr. Bergen, seconded by Ms. Cunningham, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's reported. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item number 29, local law S. This is the hospital policy is on reproductive health care. Mr. Cunningham, I believe this is yours.
It is, I'll table that pending getting a public hearing reso in for next month's meeting.
Okay, so we're done with the current business. Now, in light of the fact that the county attorney is here and he has an obligation to go to, I'd like to take up item number 26. This is prohibiting non-disclosure provisions in certain settlement agreements. Okay, so this is a resolution that was pending several months ago. It was withdrawn by myself, reintroduced now. We've asked the county attorney to come and explain it because it's complicated, given the fact that it affects settlement negotiations with the county. We'd like to do it in executive session at the suggestion of our counsel. I'd like to take a motion to do so, so we can hear what he has to say about it. And then, once we're done with that, we can come out and we can take any form of vote or action that's necessary.
Does this have to be on the basis of, for example, personnel transaction or negotiations? I'd make that motion.
Thank you. All right, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'd like to clear the room so we can hear from the county attorney regarding this issue, and then we will open it back up once we're finished hearing his remarks. All right, thanks, everybody. You heard from the county attorney, and at the request of the committee, we're going to table item number 26. All in favor of tabling 26?
Aye.
Review? Aye. All right, that carries. So we're tabling 26.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. At the request of Mr. Clanahan, who has to run, I'd like to take up items number 4, 5, and then there's one more. Well, we'll start with 4 and 5. Item number 4, resolution number 177, this is public hearing, local law G. Mr. Clanahan, it's just a public
Yeah,
hearing?
this has been around a while. I'd like to get the public hearing scheduled and get some input on this and hear from the public. So.
Great. Public hearing, all in favor? No.
Aye.
Oh, we gotta amend the date. I'm getting ahead of myself here.
The date would be October 23rd?
All right, so can we strike out the date there and amend it with October 23rd? I'll make that motion as amended. Second by Mr. Kraus, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so item number 4 is out. Move to item number 5. This is public hearing.
Same story.
Yep, we got to amend the date, so I'll make a motion to amend the date to October 23rd.
Yes.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Clanahan. Can I get a motion to move out item number 5 as amended? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so item number, any opposed?
Nobody's opposed.
Nobody's opposed. Okay.
He's been able to get unwieldy.
Sure, I bet. All right, item number 5 is out. Mr. Clanahan, what's the other one you want to,
Well, I'll table 6 and 7, the public hearing's coming, and I'd like to act on item number 12, local law.
Okay, so table number 6, that's local law number G, pending public hearing. We'll table number 7, local law H, pending the public hearing, which was just moved. And we'll move on to item number 12, which is local law number K. This is also Mr. Clanahan's bill. This is a local law to establish the Albany County Fair Hotel Consumer Practices Act.
We had a public hearing last month, no comments, no objections. I'd like to move forward with this.
Okay, well, what do folks think? Any problems, concerns? Sponsors here, answer any questions?
One quick question.
Sure, Mr. Kress.
Brian, what was the impetus for this, for your?
I think it started with the labor action at the Hilton Albany, or the Albany Hilton, and a lot of folks were not comfortable going to a place where there was a labor action with the disputes. However, they were not able to revisit their reservations, and in fact, some larger events actually ended up losing a lot of money because they were not allowed to revise or revisit their reservations. So I would like to be able to give consumers information up front, something like this is going on, so then they can make the informed decision to go forward with the reservation or not with full information. So I'm kind of just seeing this as a transparency kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't pretend to be an expert in this area. And I understand there are not a lot of union hotels in Albany County. In fact, most of them are non-union, and they're probably mostly in the town of Colonnade. It has probably more rooms than any other municipality. How would this affect
Which number is it?
a hotel that does not have a collective bargaining agreement?
21.
I could envision a situation where a hotel that's not in a CBA could still be subject to a labor action. I believe, in fact, the Holiday Inn Express right off the exit 7 in the Latham Circle didn't have CBA, but was subject to a labor action for several months. I don't know, like 6, 7, 8 years ago now, so I could envision that happening.
So
There could be
this does have an implication for every hotel.
It could, I think it's
Hotel in the county.
unlikely in non-unions, but it's conceivable.
Okay.
Follow-up questions, Mr. Brewer?
Yeah, well, I'll reserve judgment on this. I'm got some concerns, but
Okay, item number 12, can I get a motion to report this out? You want a favorable recommendation?
Please.
Favorably. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Without recommendation? Mr. Bergdorf?
no, I'll go along
Okay.
with.
All right, item number 12 is out. Now, Mr. Clennan, you gotta run, right?
Yes.
Can we take up item number 21, because after you leave, we're gonna lose quorum?
Sure.
So we can't actually report anything. But this is an important one.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Miller's too.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Miller. I mean, it depends, you just tell us when you gotta go. We'll keep doing the stuff in order of importance, right? Item number 21, this is local law number B. This is the local law to enact the local mortgage recording tax pursuant to state authorization. This is two-year extender. We got a motion, I'll second the motion. Mr. Joyce is here if anybody has any questions. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that local law, any opposed? All right, so this is out. Item 21, the MRT extender. Mr. Miller,
He's just going to table and withdraw the chairs next to it.
oh, okay.
Mr. Clement,
Review this.
Mr. Miller's here to have a vote on his item.
Okay.
So there's no rush on that, he's just tabling it as the
Are you, Paul, what are you doing with your sprinkler law
I'd
tonight?
like to move it out. I was given some legal information tonight just before the meeting. I haven't had a chance to really look into, but I'd like to move it out. And if we do have to withdraw, it's still in front of the Public Safety Committee and the Audit Finance, so I will withdraw.
Okay,
it.
why don't we, Mr.
I would like to
Joyce,
move it out.
what, because you're here. What are your two remaining items here?
23 and 17.
Okay, 23 is
I'm going to withdraw.
withdrawn.
That's
Okay, so
74.
23 is withdrawn at the request of the sponsor. Item number 17, this is Resolution 333, repealing Resolution 445 of 2016, establishing a policy regarding other charges transferred to Albany County on delinquent tax bills.
Chair's office is working with the Department of Law on this, so
Okay.
we're working out so they can table it.
Great. I have asked the city treasurer is here. If anybody has any questions for him.
Do you need me for anything else?
No, I mean, thank you for staying.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for the city? This is at their request.
Chris,
Which one are you talking about? Which one are we on?
Just if anybody has any questions.
members of the committee, I would advise you not to address this guest. The city of Albany has threatened a lawsuit in this case. I think it is ill-advised to have any sort of dialogue on this matter when there's a threat of litigation out there. It's my recommendation that the members do not engage in any dialogue on this.
Is this number 17?
17.
And it's tabled.
And it's been tabled. That's my advice as your counsel, not to engage in any discussion on this, given the threat of litigation, of which Mr. Shanafar is represented the entity that's threatened litigation.
Okay.
Well, if nobody, thanks for coming. We appreciate your time. Does anybody have any questions? If not, then,
Can he make a statement without anyone engaging with him?
sure, you can make this.
Again, I think it's ill-advised to have our legislature have a statement made with the threat of a lawsuit from an entity, I would advise against that.
We don't respond to it, right?
As a citizen of the city of Albany and the county of Albany, there is not a list of...
Excuse me, the chairman has the authority to recognize. You haven't been recognized yet.
I don't have.
I don't advise you to do that. As your attorney, I advise against it.
Okay, well, at the request of council, I guess at the advice of council, we'll conclude and move on from item number 17. Thanks for the attendance.
Thanks for your time.
All right, item number 17. Okay, Mr. Miller,
Now we don't have a quorum.
now we don't have quorum, so
We move this to public forum if we have to.
we don't have enough vote, even if everybody voted in favor, we don't have 5 people. We don't have-
The committee can move it out, right?
They can move it out. They can vote individually sponsor it.
But no, committee has to,
Excuse me.
we don't have,
Right.
we don't have
Oh, right, that's
a
right.
majority of people physically move it out. Can't move it. We can't move anything else.
So Todd can't move any of
So I've been sitting here all night for nothing,
We
Mr.
don't-
Chairman?
well, I can't help who attends the meetings and who doesn't, Mr.
Well,
Drake.
Monahan was just here, with all due respect.
His
and you
car's
knew there were
broken
people
down. There's a
waiting.
guy coming to change his tire or his battery or something like that,
We took everybody and their brother before Mr. Miller.
well, they asked, in all fairness.
So they must have been omniscient in some way.
Well, no, I mean, the chair texted me this afternoon, Joanne texted me this afternoon,
So perhaps
I didn't know that
if
he
we move
was
something to
gonna-
the law committee, we need to text the chairman, is that the case?
well, I don't know.
Otherwise, we can't expect some sort of due process.
Well, in all fairness, I didn't know that Sam Fine was gonna be here, and I didn't know Vicky Plotsky wasn't gonna be here.
Why don't we do it?
can't do
So, I mean, I don't know what to say, I cannot force
Well, I mean, he was
members
here,
to
we could
attend
have
the meeting.
addressed it.
Wait a second, excuse me.
Can't do a public forum meeting?
Sure, I'm happy to schedule one, as long as the members of the legislature understand, we'll be there for 30 or 40 minutes debating all these different pieces.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about doing a post-public forums session because some of these things take a larger amount of time.
Sure.
One of the things I heard tonight is there's new legal information that was given just to Mr. Miller. I'd like to,
I can provide that information. I don't know.
well, I don't know who did. Oh, okay, all right. Is that new?
As well.
Okay, so I can, other members of the committee...
Contact me, you can talk about it.
Okay, well, the point is, I would think that before we have a post or a meeting, we should all have the same level of information. That's what I'm asking,
I
Mr.
don't
Chairman.
disagree, I mean, this is unfortunate, it rarely happens.
Yeah.
I have no control over who chooses to show up and attend committee meetings. I don't know why these people aren't here, I don't. I mean, I apologize, Mr. Drake, but we don't have the people here. If you want to speak on this, so that we're further educated about it, and then schedule for post, I have no problem doing that. But we can't take an official vote tonight, because we don't have 5 members of the committee. But, I mean, I'm happy.
Could I get a clarification, though, from council? We have had numerous meetings with the various committees where there haven't been quorums, and all those items come out to the regular meeting. So how is it that those were occurring?
The reason for that, Arnis, is those items that have come out have been RLAs from the county executive's office, which can be individually sponsored, and the distinction is they are not individual resolutions. That's the distinction that we've followed, as far as I'm aware, since I've been here.
That's correct.
So when we meet on the Rules Committee, you and I and Pat, that's one of the items we should tack on our list of items to look at in terms of rules, because I didn't understand that there was a distinction in that regard, so.
That's something that can be discussed, certainly.
Well, I mean, look, I'm not comfortable moving things out, even if we had all 4 people here. I mean, it's quite clear, we don't have a quorum now. That being said, how do the members want to tackle that? I mean, we got through a lot of stuff. I mean, but I don't, how do the members want to tackle the rest of the stuff? Do we want to hear from Mr. Drake and Mr. Miller about their legislation? Their items are on here? Well, we can go through the rest of the agenda, and I'll make a statement saying we don't have a quorum, we can't take action. Or at the request of the committee, we can table the remaining items, I'll list them out, put a motion to table, and say what? Well, we wouldn't even motion.
Has already been.
Yeah.
Wouldn't need a motion anyway.
Oh, yeah, do you have the 60-day rule?
You don't need a motion.
So, I mean, we can look through some of this. Item number 1, Resolution 79. The sponsor's not here, so we'll table this at the request of the committee, right?
There's no need.
There's no need.
You can't do anything.
We can, yeah, we
Can't do
can.
anything, you just have to off or adjourn.
Mr. Chairman,
Effectively.
if I may.
Yeah, sure.
Local law F, item number 3.
The nepotism policy.
Indeed.
Yes.
And local law, and number 14 on here, has been tabled by this committee more than once.
Okay.
Therefore, I believe it is my due right to move this to committee with or without quorum. And maybe council can once again advise us on that, but
I think you would have had to have enacted the
if you're gonna, if the committee's gonna table me again at its own behest, I believe we're out the door.
I'd have to check if you invoke the
Just to answer the question, there are no, we do not have, there's not a quorum of this committee. There are not enough members to act. It'd be as if the committee did not meet today. That's what the effect of not having a quorum is. So this isn't an issue of the committee taking a position on your proposal. It's just that there are insufficient members to state a position anyway, either for or against.
Right, but we have the unique position of having made the decision on a number of items prior to these last. Which
Yes.
puts
How
us
about,
in a-
Mr. Drake, can I?
Well, I'd like to make a suggestion then, if that, and I'll go with, with your recommendation that doesn't apply, that's fine, I'm not gonna argue that, but I'd like to make a request for the special meeting at the legislature. This has been
Took the
around.
words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, it's been around a long time, and it's not that we're moving heaven and earth here, but, I think a point comes where we need to move legislation. and I'm not
I understand, and
request that.
I apologize that we can't take a vote on it tonight. Again, I cannot force people and put a gun to their heads.
So would you like me to speak on these matters, or field questions now, so that it can be
Members of
done
the committee have any
quickly?
questions for Mr. Drake on item number 3? Otherwise, I'll schedule a post-public forum meeting of the law committee to take up 3. What was it, in the fire sprinklers, is 8 for Mr. Miller?
Mr. Chairman, I think this is no reflection on Mr. Miller or Mr. Drake. I think Mr. Drake's resolution or local law is much less extensive in the kind of discussion that will be had, and perhaps that can be done in a post-public forum meeting. But I think in all fairness to Mr. Miller, yours is not. I can see discussion on that going half hour, maybe longer. Then you're making the entire public wait for the meeting that's supposed to start at 7, because we've decided
To do it
to
after.
do it after, I mean, it's, to me, you can schedule what you want.
Sure.
You have that authority, but I'm just laying it out.
Option B is, I'll schedule another law committee meeting for next Monday. And we'll continue through the resolution, we'll get a quorum, hopefully, and we can take up all these other items. Post-public forum, or meeting next week? We can think it over?
Are these joint and several, or are we addressing all?
No, we're not gonna do them both.
Next Monday.
No, what I'm saying, are you considering?
So what next Monday is.
The whole agenda.
Yeah, because there's a couple other items to get to too.
The first, and that is just the award ceremony for the last round.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me talk it over.
You could do that, you could have a meeting at 6:30, because that's 5:30 to 6:30.
You know-
And there are only 4 or 5
Let me talk it over, and,
We'd have to.
Yeah, that's
you know, you need a week, right? Yeah.
Give out some money and talk.
So,
Anything expensive.
okay, all right, what do you guys think? Should I
If
go?
they want to have an extended discussion, we might as well have another month.
Mr. Miller has a right, we have tabled his bill over and over again. I understand there's an extended discussion, there's some additional information that's coming right now.
Yeah, we can schedule.
We'll schedule another meeting for sometime next week, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Mr. Drake will hear your resolution there. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn, but we don't have enough votes to even adjourn.
This meeting shall go on.
Philosophically, I say we adjourn. Reservation.
The folks watching at home, we don't have a quorum anymore, therefore we cannot continue any official business.
That's right.
Now that concludes the meeting. Oh, we'll move to adjourn. Second, okay, all in favor?